Hey everybody, my name is Uncle Pookie. This is my wife DeeDee, or Lady Pookie, or we haven't figured out yet how we're going to name her. But either way, appreciate y'all watching. The channel is going to be Uncle Pookie Barbecue. Appreciate y'all joining and watching. DeeDee has never really been much for cooking outside or smoking, grilling. I've always just assumed that role, and she has expressed interest in learning how to do some smoking, some grilling, and so we're going to initiate her by fire, literally, and start on one of the best things I guess we could really do. I don't know anybody that doesn't like ribs, so we are going to learn together how to smoke baby back ribs, and at the same time introduce you to the ugly drum smokers, or my version of that, the Uncle Pookie Smoker, that we do sell online and in a couple of stores in Memphis. So just welcome along for the ride of teaching DeeDee, Pookie, and no,
Somebody.
DeeDee somebody, Pookie somebody. We'll start kind of going over. I'm gonna go with her over a few things, and we're gonna go with a real simple recipe. We've been kind of wanting to try a less seasoned barbecue ribs, so we're gonna go with my all-purpose seasoning, Uncle Pookie's salt and pepper love. It's a real basic seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic, and onion. And these will be kind of a Texas style seasoners, Texas style flavors, not a lot of extra barbecue flavors that we're normally using. So we'll kind of get started here. Very sharp knife. I don't believe in spending a lot of money on cutlery. I want something that's going to be sharp and work, and so I just get like a regular fillet knife. It's one of the sharpest knives you can get. It does the trick, and it take a sharpening for a few times, and then you easily throw it away and get a new one cheap enough. So what I like to do on the baby backs, I do like to get my ribs from a friend of mine, a butcher here in South Haven. His name is Brad Pure. He's got the butcher's block in Snowden Grove, and one benefit to buying ribs from him is that you don't have this membrane, this wax paper type membrane on the back of the ribs. It's easy enough to pull them off. A lot of times I'll just get a paper towel, and it give you some traction with these wet ribs, and you can just pull them right off. Some people use a spoon handle or a butter knife, but luckily buying these ribs that he gets from his wholesaler, they come pre-membraned, so we don't have to worry about that. But I do see sometimes you'll have a few scrap pieces when they're butchering the meat, cutting it up for different purposes. There'll be some scrap pieces, and there's nothing bad about leaving these pieces on, but I'm OCD. I like my stuff to look good before it goes on the grill. Gives me a whole lot less work to do after everything's cooked. So honey, if you can just kind of cut those little scrap pieces off, anything that's kind of just out of the ordinary. It's sometimes people call it trash meat. I don't know if any meat is trash, but it's just little scrap pieces that won't necessarily do any good. So let's get rid of them. There you go. Sometimes there's a little bit of extra fat. This one is really clean, trimmed up really well. There's another little scrap piece on the very end there, something that's just going to be hanging off and not needed.
Kids, don't try this at home.
Yeah, really. Well, it depends. Jake could do it. He's 14, but
yeah,
under adult supervision. The top side of these ribs look really good. There's no, sometimes you'll get a little layer of fat across the top that, just, it would cook off eventually, but it's just going to lengthen your cook time. These look really clean. The meat is nice and red. It's going to make for some good ribs. So we can put the knife away, honey. Put the knife away. And then we'll just start. We'll go ahead and season. I'm gonna flip them back over. I like to start seasoning on the back side, since we're gonna come back to the front side for the final layer. Now these we're going to do a heavy coat of this salt and pepper. That's really good. Not to where it's just caked on or anything, but since this is the only flavors we're doing, we want to try to get the flavor in as deep as we can, and that is going to be good right there. Now, unlike what the word rub says and sounds like, we don't actually rub the seasoning around, because all it's doing is just literally rubbing it around. It's not helping it to penetrate any, but I will go through and kind of pat it down so that before I flip them over, they're not just slinging seasoning right back across the cutting board or the table.
This seasoning is also good for other meats as well, fish and chicken, beef.
Oh yeah, that's salt and pepper and a little bit of garlic and onion, but it's just a really good mixture. Got the recipe from my good friend Malcolm Reed. Sure y'all probably heard of his website and his videos, How to Barbecue Right. He does an awesome job with his, and sincerest form of flattery is imitation, I guess they say, so we shall see. Alright, now I'm just going to, just pat that in where you're not rubbing it around or moving it around, you're just helping it to get started into the meat. And that looks good right there. I'm almost ready to eat now. We're going to go out and show her how to get the smoker started the way I like to start the ugly drums. We're going to let this kind of hang out for a little bit. We come back in, and the salt is going to pull some of the moisture out of the meat. So it's going to look wetter than it is now, as the meat, the salt's pulling the moisture out and it's pulling itself in at the same time. So we'll be good to go.
See you in a minute.
Alright guys, this is my favorite part. I don't have to be on camera for this. We're going to load up the fire basket for the drum and work with DeeDee to get it loaded, get it lit, and then get it in the drum, and we're going to start cooking. I use a lot of different types of charcoals. I do like the Royal Oak lump charcoal. It seems to burn really well. Ah, there we go. Thank you, Vanna. I mean, DeeDee. We're going to use just basic things here. We're going to go with the lump charcoal for the cook. We're going to use some cherry wood. The cherry wood does put a lot more color than it does flavor, but it doesn't have an overpowering. Smoked meat barbecue wood from Memphis Barbecue Supply in Bartlett, Tennessee. It has the fruity woods don't have that overpowering smoke flavor like a hickory and sometimes a pecan or a mesquite can have. So you can use more of the fruit woods and get away with it, not have it overpower the meat when you're doing that. So we'll go ahead and get the charcoal loaded in the box. Honey, we're going to go with about 1/3 of that fire basket. That fire basket is a 12 by 12 by 12, so it'll hold almost 20 pounds of charcoal, but you sure don't want that much in there for a short, 6-7 hour cook like doing ribs. There you go, just a little bit more. She's doing good. She's leveling it out, so we'll know exactly how much is in that basket. One thing I like about that Royal Oak too, it seems to be the pieces are a little more uniform, so you know how much you got going. That's good. And then I like to put the cherry just about right in the middle of the basket, so as it's coming up to temp and burning off, you're not burning the wood trying to come up to temperature. Very good, very good. Now what I do, some people will start their fire up top. I like to start my fire from the bottom. I will put one of those, these are lightning nugget charcoal starters. They're basically just sawdust and wax, but they do a great job. They burn for about 15 to 20 minutes. So I will put one of those down below the charcoal in the ash pan, and then I use a little mini torch that's a little bit windproof, which today is going to be a test of the windproof. I'll turn it all the way up. There you go, you know it's lit, and making that noise like a little torch. And she gets underneath there and will light that thing. You'll see the flames come off of it. You got to light it again, hit the trigger again. There you go.
Did it go out?
Yeah, one more time. There you go.
Wind.
You're not going. We might have to take this under the patio here in just a second, but that's essentially what I'll do. And I light it from the corner so that as it's coming up to temperature, we'll have the heat, the flame coming up and then burning across. It seems, for me anyway, it burns a little more efficiently, using up the charcoal and not getting too much of the charcoal on fire at first, burning where your heat kind of gets away from you. So we're going to go back under the cover to the drum, get the firebox lit, and we'll go through the next step. Second. Okay, we're back. All right, and now DeeDee is going to load the firebox. It is lit and burning. She's going to carefully put it into the smoker, and then once it's down in there, she's going to twist it around where the fire is right up next to the air intake. We want to make sure that air is getting to the fire at all times. Now what we'll do is leave the lid off so this drum and that fire is getting full amount of air to get the charcoal started. And then once we probably go about 15, maybe 20 minutes with it just getting full airflow, what we'll do is put the lid on it, but open the intake and the exhaust on the lid so that it still gets plenty of airflow, but not as much. We won't get out of control on this fire. So we'll be back in just a minute and see how we're doing. All right, the fire is hot. It is ready to go. We got smoke, we got wood smoking. So we're going to put the grill grate on the top rack. We're not going to use a heat diverter or anything since we're just doing one rack of ribs and they're that far away from the fire. She's got that in good. We'll go ahead and load the rack of ribs on. We're going to kind of spread that rack out, kind of pull it from itself so that it's stretched a little bit, kind of help to get the juices going. Now if you'll put the lid on, and open that top about a quarter of the way. There you go, about half to a quarter, and then close the air intake to about the same, about a quarter to a half. Now, from experience, I know that on this drum, having the dampers open about that much is going to be cooking around 250 to 275. So I'm going to put a timer on for an hour. We're going to check this meat again in an hour, and it's not going to be near time to wrap, but we're just going to check and see how it's cooking, and if it needs to be closed down a little bit more, if it needs to be opened up a little more, we will know. So we will see y'all again in about an hour.
Stay tuned.
All right, it has been an hour. We're going to check the color of the ribs, and I don't have a temperature gauge on the drum because I just normally don't use one at home. So DeeDee, if you will do the honors, we'll open the lid and look at the ribs real quick, see how they're cooking. The light blue smoke everyone talks about. All right, they are cooking. Still have fire, that's a good thing. It's only been an hour, so we don't expect it to be super dark or anything. We'll go ahead and put the lid back on, and what we'll do is adjust the damper on the exhaust. Right now, that's good, it is open about a quarter of the opening. Let's go ahead and bump that open a little bit more. There you go. Get it about halfway. What that's doing is it's releasing more air from the lid, which is drawing more air in from the intake. That's one of the secrets to cooking on a drum, is learning how the airflow works. If you don't want the temperature to be so hot, you close off the exhaust, and that keeps more air in and does not pull more air through. If you need the temperature to go up, you open the exhaust and it pulls more air in through the intake, puts more air on the fire, which of course makes it burn more. So we will give it another hour and check it again, see where we're at. See you then. Hour number 2, gonna check on the ribs again, see what the color's looking like. Let's go ahead and open her up, honey. Got plenty of smoke coming out. It's kind of hard to see with the smoke coming through, but they are looking good. The meaty end here is getting a little more color than the other, so we're getting really close. We'll go ahead and cover it up and let them smoke for another 30 minutes, and then we will check them again. We should be ready to wrap. We're going to wrap off of color, not temperature, so we'll see you in about 30 minutes. Alright, we are back. It has been a little over 2.5 hours, and we're going to go ahead and wrap these ribs up. You can go ahead and take the lid off the smoker. We won't worry about that wind. We'll catch it if it blows away. Alright, now she's got double lined gloves, the cotton glove liners under the plastic ones. We're going to take those ribs out and put them down on the foil meat side down. We want that meat to be in its own juices. Alright, meat side down. Now you're going to take that magic blue bottle of Parquet behind there. Got a lot of dark color on the bottom of those ribs, but the steam and the melting butter inside there is going to lighten them up just a little bit. We want a heavy couple of, there you go, a little bit off to the side so it'll be down in the foil. No, there you go, just down on the foil directly so that it'll keep everything from sticking. And then let's go ahead and double wrap. There you go. Our fire is burning hot with that open lid, so we kind of have to be a little bit fast to get this done, but we'll be in good shape. Try not to puncture that foil so nothing leaks out. This one is just to double reinforce if there is any holes. This one doesn't have to be as tight as the first layer. Alright, we're going to put that back on the fire. Close the lid. We're going to check it again in about an hour and just see how that drawback is. Alright, we are still about a quarter of the way open on the exhaust. A little bit more than a quarter on the intake, but it's drawing from the top, so that's going to control everything. And we are good to go. Alright, it has been 1 hour wrapped in the foil, and we're going to check the progress of the cook. And DeeDee, go ahead and open the lid, and we'll open up the foil, see where we're at. I have to move kind of quickly so that that air doesn't get that fire going raging again. We'll get a good look at, ooh, them bones are already pulling back. We might not have too much longer on these. Let's go ahead and give them another 30 minutes. Alright, get the lid back on it so that fire doesn't get out of control. Very good. We will check back in 30 minutes. Alright, sun is setting and the ribs should be done. We're going to take them off the smoker and take them inside, let them rest for a few minutes, cut them up and see how Lady Pookie, Aunt DeeDee, some or other name to be determined, has done on her first rack of ribs smoked on the Ugly Drum smoker, the Uncle Pookie Smoker. Closed everything off, and we'll go inside and check them out. Ooh. We are back. DeeDee has finished her first rack of baby back ribs smoked on the Uncle Pookie Smoker.
They smell really good.
They smell good. They look good. I'm seeing a lot of juice on the outside, so I'm going to find me a couple of in-between bones here and get to cutting so we can have us a taste test. Well, don't have to cut. They're going to tear right apart. They've done just right. We're not... some great color to them.
Show them the color.
Yeah. Let's see. They are backyard cooked ribs. We're not doing competition today. We're doing fall off the bone baby back ribs.
Dry ribs.
Dry ribs, no sauce. So they are looking good. Got a lot of good red smoke. It's kind of hard to see on camera here, but we've got some good smoke ring color. Trying to find a good cut piece. That's probably going to be the best bet. You can see the red right underneath there where it took in all that cherry smoke. Go right ahead, doll, and give you that first piece. I should have given you this one. That is prettier, but
really good. I think
Very
I
good.
might like these better than the normal sauce rib.
Salt comes through. A little bit of heat with the pepper, not much. But it's just pork flavor. It's not overdone with sauce and paprika and
It
sugar.
tastes a little bit of the garlic, but it complements the rest of the spices. Not bad for the first round. You'll have to try it out.
That Texas style, just salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic and onion. Cooked to perfection. It's just starting to break, so it's not completely falling off the bone, but you can definitely tear through. Separate them out in big chunks if you're feeding folks, or if you want to cut through. You cut through the backside so you can see where the bones lie and what direction they lie. Slice right through for presentation, but a #1 job, honey.
Alright.
Very good.
If you want to try out the spices that we used on this, just go to the website and click on the icon and purchase you some. Thank you.